Building trust in the workplace is critical for EAs because organisations are all about values and communication and behaviour that's in line with what the company wants to achieve. And if without trust at every single level in the organisation, things can go awry, as we've no doubt seen in many organisations across the world, companies that have gone under because of the lack of trust. You just look at the finance industry. Trust is at the centre of every aspect of communication, and that's why it's fundamental for EAs to be at the forefront in their leadership position to deal with trust and build trust within their organisations. We're going to be going through a few of those in at the conference. I guess there's four things. The first thing is to forget about trust as a wishy-washy concept. Trust is a very, very defined thing. So the definition that we're going to be dealing with during at the conference is all about how you can prove yourself to be a reliable person to deliver something specific. So we'll get into that in a little bit more detail. But the three aspects of trust that is absolutely needed by all people, no matter if we're talking about trust in a personal relationship or in a business relationship, if you can firstly understand and meet what people need, that's step one. Step two is to manage someone's expectations, and I'm no doubt EAs and PAs around Australia will know that that's one of the biggest challenges, to manage the expectations, because you're not going to meet them all. And then the third part is to always deliver on what you say you're going to do, or make good the promise. So it's the needs, the expectations and the promises that we're going to be dealing with when we're talking about trust. Again, in the talk at the upcoming summit, we'll go into a little bit more depth, but really broadly, there are two types of people when it comes to trust. And I challenge you to think about that right now. What type of a truster are you? Are you an open truster or a closed truster? Now, don't judge good or bad yet. Open truster is a person who will trust first, openly, but then when they're crossed and something happens, they won't trust again, or it's quite hard to build that trust. Then there's another type of person who's the closed truster, who at first requires you to gain trust or build trust, then they'll openly trust with you. So people are generally between these two groups. If you have a closed truster, it's harder to build first up. For example, I'm an open truster, but once I'm crossed, if you break trust with me, it goes pretty quickly. So that's one of the challenges. The other challenges are quite simply, most people, when they're dealing with another person, don't really know what they need. And so putting the effort into understanding the needs, and like we discussed before, managing the expectations of that person, they're another huge set of challenges that we'll explore more. Body language plays a critical role in building trust, and the fundamental aspect of body language, and much has been written and talked about on this topic. In our workshop, we're going to get very hands-on. The main thing with body language is the openness of the body language. So remaining consciously, I guess, open to another person will give them the message, even if you're not, but it will give them the message that you're an open-minded person. And being open-minded and building trust, you have more of a chance of building trust with that person. It's a very simple proposition. And that comes down from the face through to the hands and the arms and legs, and also the body position. So we'll explore a lot of that in the workshop, but to really build trust through body language, it's open communication and open body language and really good eye contact, which is also critical. It is about demonstrating to the other person that you are open, because the more, certainly in Western culture, now there's some other cultural specific issues that are faced, but in our culture, in the Australian culture, direct eye contact and facing the other person, one of the things that's very interesting is where your feet are positioned have an impact on the other person subconsciously. So if you really want to demonstrate that you're engaged with another person, your feet will always be pointing towards that person. Now if your feet, and no doubt if you're listening or watching this right now, you'll notice that sometimes your feet point away from that person. That is a subconscious cue to yourself and to the other person that you actually don't want to be there. So that's a really interesting tip that I give a lot of people from a number of books that I've read and a lot of the research that's been done, is the direction of your feet will often dictate where you want to be. Every organisation is going through some form of significant change, not just sort of trimming around the edges, Building trust within organisations, again, at every level, not just at the executive level, but right throughout the organisation, is fundamental to keeping brains open to change. Because what happens is we get really habitual, we get really engrossed in our job or our task or our position in the company. And then when change hits us, we don't want to move from that. So by practicing and I guess rehearsing to an extent how open we are through body language, through building trust, what that does is make us more open to change. So when someone says, hey, you know what, your job now entails this, because we've restructured, etc., etc., instead of saying, well, that's not in my jurisdiction, an open person, a person who's built trust, will say, I can see how that fits in, let's give it a shot. So that's, I think, the main benefit to people of building trust in a changing environment. It's a subject very close to my heart because I wrote a book called Brain Blinkers, and these are mental barriers to high performance. So a lot of it comes down to what you believe about yourself, about the organisation, and about the people you work. So my biggest tip to people when undergoing change is have a look inwards and figure out what you are holding true about the situation. For example, a lot of people have a belief that change is no good, change is bad, change is uncomfortable. So in a changing environment, in a world that is full of turmoil, in a business that's full of restructures, if you have a belief that change is no good or change is not going to help you or me, then that's going to affect your behaviour directly. Because whatever you hold true will affect how you think and behave. So my biggest tip to people is have a look at what you hold true and change it, because we've all got the ability to make that change. I've been fortunate enough to speak at a number of the APA events over the years. And Doug Powell's been tremendous in the way he runs these events. And what I think the three key things are for EAs and PAs from around Australia and New Zealand and the world, to be honest, is it's an ability to network with people doing your similar type of job. It's an ability to learn from people like myself and others who are even right at the coalface of the job. And the other one is to engage, because I think to learn without being engaged is a bit of a waste of time. You take as many notes as you like. Certainly in my sessions and a number of the speakers that are going to be at EAPA, you'll be actively engaged with them. I love speaking to people before and after my session, pick people's brains. It's such a rare and wonderful opportunity to both network, learn and engage with like-minded people. So that's why I think it's terrific to attend.